All right, let's talk about a German pop rock classic, Rio Reiser's 1986 banger, König von Deutschland. Now, on the surface, this song is just super catchy, it's funny, but trust me, if you look just a little bit closer, you'll find it's this incredibly sharp piece of social commentary. So, how exactly does it pull that off? Let's dig in.
Okay, so the entire song, and I mean the whole thing, boils down to this one simple question. It's almost like a kid's daydream, right? What if a totally normal person, someone like you or me, suddenly became king? What would you do? This little thought experiment, well, it's the key to unlocking everything.
Right, so we're talking about a childish wish. But here's the thing. While it feels like a simple daydream, it's actually a really sophisticated tool. Rio Reiser uses this fantasy not just to get a few laughs, but as a kind of lens, a way to put society under a microscope. And what it reveals? Well, it's some pretty uncomfortable truths about how power and privilege actually work.
And this is the core idea, really. In the world of this song, becoming king has nothing to do with earning it. It's not about being smart or working hard or being a great leader. Nope. Power is treated like a costume. You just put it on, and the second you're wearing it, bam! You've got automatic access to all the money, all the respect, all the influence. So, the big question is, how does the song make its point without coming off like a boring lecture? Well, the method is brilliant. It's humor, used as a weapon. The jokes aren't just there to be funny. They're the delivery system for the critique. And to really get how it works, we have to do something important. We need to separate the artist from the character he created for the song. So on one side, you've got the author, Rio Reiser, the super sharp artist and social critic. But on the other side, you have the persona, the I in the song. And this character is totally constructed, almost childishly naive. This persona is the one who voices all those little everyday desires for more comfort, more recognition, the stuff we might secretly think about. And by putting it all out there, it lets us see just how ridiculous it all is.
And what is that? Well, that's textbook satire. It's a tool that uses humor, exaggeration, and this kind of intentionally naive character to make its point without ever getting preachy. The song doesn't wag its finger at you. It doesn't lecture. It performs the idea. It shows us the absurdity instead of just telling us it exists.
Okay, so we've established the how. Now for the what. What is all this wit and satire actually aimed at? I'll give you a hint. The song isn't really about kings and castles. It's about the very real, nitty-gritty mechanics of privilege that exist in our own world.
And if you listen closely, the narrator's wish list basically falls into three big buckets. First, you've got material luxury. All the stuff he could have. Then there's social power, all the people he could boss around. And finally, something a little more abstract, symbolic capital. That's just a fancy way of saying he wants recognition, respect, that simple human desire to be seen and feel important. And this brings us back to that costume idea. This quote from the analysis just nails it. It says, privileges work like a costume you put on. Think about that. It's not about who you are on the inside. It's an external thing you wear that just grants you power, no questions asked. And once you're wearing that costume, well, power suddenly becomes this free pass. All the rules that apply to everyone else, not for you anymore. Resources are just there for the taking. Consequences? They just seem to disappear. The song is basically a fantasy of what it would be like to have zero accountability. And that's where the comedy comes from. That's how it works. The song takes these things we kind of accept as normal parts of privilege. Getting special treatment, having access, wielding influence, and it just blows them up to these huge, clumsy, totally absurd proportions. And when you see it like that, you can't help but laugh at how ridiculous it all is. This whole thing leads us to a really fascinating question at the heart of the song. Is this power fantasy a critique of a broken system? Or is it a reflection of the psychology of feeling powerless? Well, what's so cool is that the analysis suggests it's not one or the other. It's both. Let's look at these two sides. On one hand, you have the system critique. The whole fantasy is there to show how messed up a society is that hands out unearned privilege. But then there's the other angle, the psychological one. This reading says the dream of being king is just a compensation for feeling small and invisible in everyday life. And that comes with a pretty stark warning, right? That the desire just to be seen can sour and turn into a desire to dominate others. So here's the key takeaway. These two interpretations don't cancel each other out. They actually build on each other. They work together to show us that inequality isn't just an economic issue, it's not just about money. It's an imaginative issue. It gets inside our heads and literally shapes what we dream about, what we want, and what we think is even possible.
So that brings us to the final question. Why are we still talking about a song from 1986? It's because its critique is still so incredibly sharp today. The song leaves us with this challenge, this one big question that honestly hasn't gone away one bit.
You know, the real genius of this song is just how economical it is. It's so efficient. It takes a simple if-then game, a child's fantasy, and turns it into this powerful machine for social analysis. It doesn't need pages of complicated theory. All it needs is a catchy chorus and a simple idea to reveal something really deep about the world we live in. And that leads us to the song's ultimate trick. I love this. The song is fun, and that is precisely its bait. You're singing along, you're tapping your foot, you're laughing at the lyrics, and all the while, that fun is the bait on the hook. While you're enjoying the tune, the song is quietly planting a very serious question in the back of your mind.
And this is the question. This is what it all comes down to. The song holds up this funhouse mirror, exaggerating privilege until it looks completely absurd. But then it makes us turn that mirror around and look at our own world and ask, why is it that the very things that seem so ridiculous in this 3-minute pop song often seem so completely normal in real life? What does that say about us?